14 times this year, the National Hot Rod Association National Event Circuit will stop at major racetracks in the United States and Canada. The most recent race was in the heartland of America, Indianapolis, Indiana, for the 33rd annual running of the U.S. Nationals, the biggest race of the year. The huge crowd that jammed Indianapolis Raceway Park was treated to some spectacular action. The Top Fuel Eliminator title was won by Joe Amato, giving him some valuable points over his competition, Dick LaHaye, in the year-long World Championship Series. Two-time funny car world champion Kenny Bernstein added another star to his crown when he won the U.S. Nationals title over the fastest funny car in the world with Mike Dunn driving. Winningest driver of them all, Bob Glidden, continued his amazing string, qualifying number 1 and winning the race. He drove his Pro Stock Ford Thunderbird to victory over the Camaro, driven by Darrell Alderman. For race number 11 on the National Event Trail to the picturesque farmlands of eastern Pennsylvania. The area abounds in scenic beauty. Century-old farmhouses, the Amish tradition still maintained in many areas around Maple Grove Raceway near Reading, Pennsylvania. Hello, everybody. I'm Dave McClellan, and welcome to Maple Grove Raceway and the 3rd annual Castrol GTX Keystone Nationals. What a magnificent day we have today in eastern Pennsylvania. But this wasn't the case just 1 week ago. Qualifying was barely completed before the heavy rains came, forcing a postponement until today. As always, NHRA made available to the racers a tune and test day, and a lot of spectacular action occurred. For more on that story, here's Steve Evans.
Well, Dave, yesterday was supposed to be a relaxed kind of get reacquainted with the racetrack kind of a day, but it suddenly turned frighteningly serious for two-time World Funny Car champion Kenny Bernstein. Body machine left the starting line on what appeared to be one of his best runs ever. However, several flashes of fire from the left bank of headers indicated internal problems. Before the finish line, a connecting rod broke, a piston jammed open an intake valve, exploding the supercharger. A ripped fuel line allowed nitro to continue to feed the flames. Bernstein rocketed through the shutdown area, visionless, flew across a county road closed during the races, over the sand trap, rolled twice, and came to a stop on his side in a swamp. The emergency crews were relieved to find that the blazing debris did not contain the car. It was merely the fiberglass body. Bernstein, still strapped into the machine, was about 30 yards away, completely unhurt. A dejected Kenny and his crew loaded the wreckage into his big truck and trailer, and out the pit gate they went. No one expecting to see them again until the next race on the tour. Lo and behold, 9 a.m. this morning, in the truck race, the race car had been totally rebuilt. A spare body was already in the trailer. The frame was completely stripped, put in a jig at a chassis shop, straightened, a new engine built. It's just an absolutely amazing job. What a thrash these guys have been through. There's no sleep whatsoever, you can bet, on the Bernstein crew. Now, the only break Kenny has had this morning in first-round competition, he had no opponent. He was scheduled to race Australian Graham Cowan. Cowan had to return to Sydney, so Kenny was able to shake it down to a 5:80 elapsed time. We talked at the end of the racetrack. Well, unlike yesterday, Kenny Bernstein flips off his helmet. It's not half full of swamp water. And after a 20-hour thrash, this team is back. A 580 checkout run. How did it feel for you and the car?
Oh, it was pretty, weak, and it laid all down here. I was going to go on through with it, but it wasn't running right down here. But just need to get one under our belts. The guys and crew just did such a job.
With the success you've enjoyed this year, 7 victories, the World Championship will again be yours. Was there any temptation to just throw the wreckage in the truck and take a week to come back?
No, there really wasn't. In fact, it was never even discussed. When Dale went down and looked at the car in the swamp and thought it looked pretty good, let's go fix it, let's come back and do some battle, and that's the way we operate.
And it's that kind of drive that has made this team the success it is, I guess.
It really is. It takes that, and the guys are just great, and all the friends that helped us, and Carl Ruth and Gwynn's and everybody else, but that's what it takes.
A lot of people have been up all night.
A lot of people up all night, and a lot of friends praying for us. We appreciate it, too.
A gorgeous eastern Pennsylvania day. The temperature in the low 70s. A light breeze blowing, and that translates into some fabulous racing conditions. The atmosphere is just right for nitro-burning cars. Here is John Force in round number 2 of Funny Car Eliminator at the Keystone Nationals. Force is racing against Dauphine, Pennsylvania's Bruce Larson, a longtime competitor, not only on this racetrack, but up and down the eastern seaboard. He most definitely is a crowd favorite. John Force, calling Yorba Linda, California home, won his first national event title earlier this season when he won the Grand National in Montreal, Canada. Bruce Larson has yet to win his first event title, but he defeated V.A. Santucci in round number 1 to earn the right to face John Force in round 2. Larson, driving the Century TAC Engage's Chevy Beretta, is part of the multi-car team put together by another Pennsylvania racer, Joe Amato. And of course, John Force is part of that Castrol GTX racing team. Both cars staging very carefully. They're set. And John Force has a great advantage off the starting line. Larson's hanging in there. John Force wins the race by about a car length. His lap time, a 5:59. The losing time for Larson, so close, at a 5:69. Back on the starting line, the engine coming to life in the Skoal Bandit Pontiac Firebird of Don Prudhomme. With that nitro-burning engine just idling, Prudhomme rolls through a puddle of water, then stands on the throttle. That sets those Goodyear Racing Eagles to smoking, literally burning the rubber, getting them as hot as possible in the burnout procedure. Let's go to Steve with John Force.
As always, the first question out of the mouth of John Force, how'd she run? 5:59 at 2:59.
Okay, she's consistent. Who we race?
I don't have any idea yet.
Well, everything's, she's running like a Swiss watch here and consistent. And there's a lot of cars that are quick here. I think the air is excellent, the track's excellent. It's going to be a good race today.
Mark Oswald at the wheel of the Motorcraft Thunderbird of Cam D's and Hughes, having completed his long burnout, up to take a short dry burnout to check the clutch and tire combination. Oswald, runner-up at the Summer Nationals this year, beat Billy Meyer in round number 1, while Prudhomme defeated Eric Reed in the first round of competition. Prudhomme is already a winner this season, winning the Gator National title in Gainesville, Florida. Now both drivers concentrating on the start. A good lead for both men. Prudhomme has problems. And Prudhomme crosses the center line, striking the timing lights at the end of the track. Oswald won the race, and look at the damage to the right front of the Pontiac of Don Prudhomme. As we watch again, you'll see both drivers had a good start. Oswald may be gaining just a little bit of an advantage in the first few hundred feet of this quarter-mile-long racing surface. And then the problem set in for Prudhomme. The car moved towards the guardrail, he drove it towards the center line, and it would not come back. The car striking both the cones and the timing light.
Well, to add insult to injury, not only did Don Prudhomme fail to get the wind light by a car length or so, but also when he got out of the car, he finds that the right front fender has been torn completely off his Firebird. A lot of cars have been moving around at the finish line, Don.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. It just, got over to the left, and then I tried to correct to get to the back and just made a quick move, and I couldn't do anything with it.
But it was a great drag race to that point.
Well, yeah, it's just a shame.
Indeed it is. A beautiful funny car has been turned into something a bit less than that.
Don Prudhomme done for the day. The 1987 Castrol Castrol GTX Keystone Nationals is being brought to you by Brand Bendix Autolite, which are all quality products of Allied Automotive, and by Goodyear, the Goodyear Tire and Rubber. At Maple Grove Raceway near Reading, Pennsylvania, we're watching the Castrol GTX Keystone Nationals. This is the Miller American Oldsmobile, Ed McCulloch driving. He is racing against Johnny West. West out of Chandler, Arizona, drives the car owned and tuned by Roland Leon. That is the Hawaiian Punch Dodge Daytona. 2 times this season, Johnny West has made it to the finals, but has yet to win that all-important first race. For Ed McCulloch, a many-time champion twice last season, he was a winner on the NHRA National Event Trail. Both drivers are thinking about how to gain an advantage off the starting line without leaving too soon and thus red lighting. A good start. And Johnny West, by just a matter of a few feet, defeats Ed McCulloch 5.57 seconds at 257 miles an hour. McCulloch was oh so close. His elapsed time of 5:59. This was one great drag race. As we watch in replay, West had a slight advantage off the starting line, but McCulloch did not give up. And at the finish line, it was very close, just about a fender length. Both cars over 256 miles an hour.
When Johnny West came out of this car, he had absolutely no idea whether he had won or lost that drag race. I can tell you, you'll want it a 5:57 to a 59.
59. Well, that's pretty good. I saw him in low gear, and then he disappeared, and I thought, well, he's gone. And then all of a sudden, I looked over right in the lights, and he was there again.
That's McCulloch.
Yeah, well, you know, he's good. He's got a hell of a top-end charge, and I was just hoping that I was there first.
You fell off 700s. Weather, did Roland back off the motor, what?
No, it got a little slippery off the starting line. We spun the tires in the dry, so we had to be a little bit careful with it there and, you know, hold the brake and be a little ginger with it.
This is Tim Gross. Back in 1985, he won the first ever Keystone National Funny Car title, racing against Kenny Bernstein. Today, Gross feels he once again has a chance to defeat the Budweiser King, as Bernstein is still sorting out the problems from yesterday's incident. Gross from Saugus, California, and the Rockin' and Racin' Pontiac is back on the National Event Tour after sitting out part of this season. The big question remains as Dale Armstrong finally positions Kenny Bernstein just where he wants him. How well will Bernstein's car perform? And Gross leaves early. He red lights, disqualifying him at the start. Bernstein wins. And a good elapsed time for Bernstein, 5.63 seconds. His speed, 253 miles an hour. That sets up the funny car semifinals. Kenny Bernstein against Mark Oswald. By virtue of a lower elapsed time in round 2, Oswald has the lane choice. The other pair, John Force against Johnny West, and West having lane choice in that match. Steve?
Well, Kenny Bernstein continuing to sort out what in many respects is almost like having a new race car at 563, but it looked like it was real loose on the top end.
Yeah, it may have been, Steve. It's awful rough down there, and it's hard to control them, but you're right. We're just sorting it out, trying to catch back up here.
You know, the guys that give you the biggest hand down here at the Safety Safari, who without them, you might not be here today.
Let me tell you, those guys yesterday, Ronnie just did a super job, and all those guys, they jumped in there, and the best news and noise I ever heard when I heard Ronnie talking to me saying, are you okay?
Well, there's a lot of drag racers that can tell that story.
Oh, absolutely. He's the greatest there is, I'll tell you.
Semifinals coming up.
It's a tough one, Oswald. Red cars again.
Oh, yeah.
Bernstein talking about Ronnie Davis, the paramedic on NHRA Safety Safari. On the starting line, it is time for Top Fuel Eliminator, round number 2. Frank Bradley from Napa, California, racing against Roseville, California's own Gary Ormsby. Bradley, driving the Newman Farm Special, won his first ever NHRA event title back in 1976 at the Winter Nationals, while it was at the same event in 1984 that Gary Ormsby won his first ever championship. Driving the Castrol GTX Special, Ormsby has already tasted victories this year, winning the Summer Nationals Championship. Ormsby had lane choice by virtue of the quicker elapsed time in round 1. He was 0.05 of a second quicker than Bradley at a 5:26. And Bradley smoked the tires. Losing traction down track, Bradley won. Ormsby streak across the finish line, and look at the elapsed time, 5.20. at over 266 miles an hour. In the pits, crew chief Austin Coyle directing the reassembly of John Force racing engine, getting ready for the finals coming up later at the Keystone National. GTX Keystone Nationals. I'm Dave McClelland along with Steve Evans, and this magnificently cool day is certainly conducive to record-setting performances, and that has to be on the mind of Joe Amato, the only man ever to exceed 280 miles an hour. He did it first at the U.S. Nationals at Indianapolis Raceway Park, but at that event, he was unable to provide the 1% backup necessary to set the record. Amato from Old Forge, Pennsylvania, is definitely the crowd favorite. He is locked into a points battle with Dick LaHaye, headed toward the World Championship. And, of course, every record adds to your points total. In round number 1, Amato faced Larry Minor. Both drivers stayed carefully, then they had a good start. But Minor smoked the tires almost instantly. Amato streaked through to the most incredible run ever. 5.11 seconds, the quickest ever, and he broke the record at over 280.
Driving through the Rysol ash that has accumulated on the windscreen, Joe Amato has become the quickest driver in the history of drag racing, 5.11.
5.11?
Yeah.
Out of control, Steve. I mean, this car just keeps running faster and faster. I mean, you know...
We're in 280 again.
280, well, that's the first leg of the record. That's 200 points. We can get the ET record, too, my God. I mean, the car made such a hard move in the bottom. I mean, it was bobbling the front tires, and it just thundered down through there, and it didn't do anything wrong. I mean...
You told me before you can really feel speed. Can you feel elapsed time?
Well, the car moves hard from the bottom. That's when they elapse time. The speed from half track down is when it really makes the move. You know, Tim Richards has been doing, and the guys have been doing an outstanding job. 5.11, I mean... I can't believe it. I mean, I'm speechless, and it's just, you know, the TRW dragster, the people are going to be so happy from corporate that, you know...
And so will the people in these grandstands.
Oh, God, it's fun to do that in front of the hometown crowd, you know?
Great job.
Thank you.
Joe's wife, Jerry, coming in to offer congratulations on that record-shattering run. Amato, now in round number 2, has got to be thinking about backup, both on the elapsed time and the mile an hour. He's got to be within 1%. A good run. And Amato goes even faster. He sets the record at 280.98 miles an hour. It's the last time of 5:19. Not quick enough to back up that 5:11, but Amato is still in competition and advances to the semifinals, where he's got another shot at the record. Here is Eddie Hill. Out of the Lone Star Racing Stables, Eddie Hill hails from Wichita Falls, Texas. Let's go to the far end of the track. Steve Evans is with Joe Amato.
Well, how relentless is Joe Amato's search for world records? On a single run, you backed it up. It'll go in the books over 280.
That's what the mission was, Steve. We wanted to... Did we beat the lane choice, though?
I ran a 5:19.
5:20 is all we needed or better. 5:19 gives us lane choice.
And they tell me you need a 5:16 to get the elapsed time record.
Yeah, the air came up about 300 feet that time, so we knew it was going to slow down a little bit. We were just trying to back the record up. What do we get the record at?
At 280.
280. See, that's good, because then we can set it again later at another track, possibly.
What you're saying is it's like driving a car up a 300-foot hill, and the air is different up there.
Yeah, right. The air got worse, so the motor took a little power out of it, so now we've got to step it up a little bit to compensate for the air. But we didn't want to take a chance smoking the tires. We wanted to try and back the record up. But
well, you've done that. It'll be Joe Amato against Gary Ormsby, only 1/100th of a second apart.
It's going to be a race.
Steve, even in the thick of competition, Joe Amato looking ahead to another racetrack and possibly another record. Earl Whiting, the lumberman from Montesano, Washington, defeated David Bieneman of Royal Oak, Michigan in the first round. Eddie Hill used the quickest elapsed time of his long career to defeat Shirley Muldowney in round number 1. Hill ran a 5.17, a 5.17, putting him right in the chase for the championship here at the Keystone National. And Hill's out in front. Something breaks on Hill's car. Whiting streaks across the finish and into the semifinals. What a tough break for Eddie Hill, who obviously had it together on this race day. This is Darrell Gwynn, 25 years old, out of Miami, Florida, driving the Budweiser Special at over 290-inch wheelbase. This is the longest car in competition. Gwynn is currently in 3rd place in the World Championship points chase, twice this season, he's been in the winner's circle at an NHRA national event. The man that is in number 2 in the World Series is Dick LaHaye from Lansing, Michigan. LaHaye has had 3 consecutive championships in his Miller American Special, and he currently holds the elapsed time record at a 5:17 set earlier this year at the Summer Nationals. His daughter, Kim, is the crew chief on this car. She's checking over the engine in the cockpit, making sure everything is just right. It is a family affair for Darrell Gwynn. His dad, Jerry, the crew chief on that car. An incredibly important race to both drivers, with Gwynn in 3rd spot, LaHaye in 2nd. A victory here would add to the points total of the winning driver. You see the small wheels on Gwynn's car, the more conventional, taller front wheel and tire combination for LaHaye. Oh, what a great start for Gwynn, but he has problems, and LaHaye streaks ahead. His elapsed time of 5.12, a 5:12 at over 279 miles an hour. He breaks his own record, and in doing so, that 5:12 gives him lane choice over Earl Whiting in the semifinals. The other pair in the semis finds Gary Ormsby racing Joe Amato, and the 5:19 by Joe gives him the lane choice. More racing in a moment from the Castrol GTX Keystone Nationals. Castrol GTX Keystone Nationals at Maple Grove Raceway. There's some fans that obviously know a good thing when they see it. Now let's go to Steve with Dick LaHaye.
Well, just when Joe Amato thinks he has established some kind of performance advantage over Dick LaHaye, a 5:12.
Well, you know, we've been smoking the tires at these races and losing races. And for about the last 3 races now, or 2 races, we said we're not going to beat ourselves. Well, we had to start stepping it back up again because he went out there and run that 5:11. I mean, that's plenty stout.
You know, he nailed the speed record for bonus points. Now, if you can get the ET record, you at least hold him, keep him at bay a bit.
That's true, but he could touch ET record, too. And
oh, yeah.
I think, to be truthful with you, that we can touch this mile-an-hour record.
Dick LaHaye displaying some well-deserved confidence. On the starting line, it's time for Pro Stock Eliminator. Reed Wisnett, racing out of Hapeville, Georgia, defeated Don Coates in round number 1. His competition, Tony Christian, defeated W.J. Warren Johnson in the 1st round. The Pontiac Firebird is driven by Tony Christian, owned by the team of Lamonte and Earl. Reed Wisnett out of RW Racing drives a Chevy Camaro. Tony Christian's got the advantage. But look at Wisnett come on. Oh, so close. Tony Christian wins it. His elapsed time of 7:49. Reed Wisnett actually went quicker at a 7:47. But Christian had the advantage off the starting line. He held off the hard-charging Wisnett, and there's the margin of difference. Just about a half a car length at the finish line. Jerry Ekman driving Bill Orndorff's Chevy Camaro out of Ventura, California, testing the starting line with a super long dry burnout. All the cars in competition today do these burnouts to try to get the tires as hot and as clean as possible. And the second burnout is to actually test the starting line conditions. Jerry Ekman in round number 1 defeated Kenny Koretsky earlier this year. Ekman won the Summer Nationals title. Bruce Allen at the wheel of the Levi Garrett Chevrolet Beretta drives for the team of Rare and Morrison out of Arlington, Texas. Allen defeated Butch Leal in round number 1. They're staging carefully. Lots of RPMs out of these engines. And also slight advantage for Bruce Allen. A tremendous race, identical elapsed time. 7.48 seconds, but Bruce Allen and the Beretta got there first. Let's watch it again from the starting line. You can see Allen and the Beretta in the near lane, just a hair quicker off the starting line. That whole shot, as it is described, certainly paid off for him. They're neck and neck at that point. They're still side by side as they approach the finish line, with Ekman trying his best to catch Allen, but he could not. 7.48 seconds, the same elapsed time for each driver, just goes to show how important the start is, especially in this ultra-close Pro Stock competition. A pair of Pontiac Firebirds make up our next race. Kenny Delco at the wheel of Flip Speed Shop Special, owned by Flip Benito. Delco drove that car to victory over the Canadian Alvin Gauthier in round number 1, while Lee Dean at the wheel the Sterling Brothers Pontiac Trans Am beat Charlie Garrett in his first round race. Dean ran slightly quicker than did Delco in the first round, thus he has the choice of lane and takes the lane nearest the camera. A great start for Delco. But Lee Dean drives past him at the finish line. It is Dean, the winner, 7.46 seconds to a losing 7:50 for Delco. You see the advantage that Delco built off the starting line, but that went away by the time they reached the finish, 1,320 feet away, and Lee Dean advances to the semifinals. Here's your number one qualifier, the Motorcraft Thunderbird of Bob Glidden. This is one of those races that has that classic Ford versus GM struggle. Nick Nicolas drives a Pontiac Trans Am. He beat Joe Sway in the first round, while Glidden defeated Darrell Alderman in a rematch of the finals of the U.S. National. A final check of the controls for Glidden. He established the standard for every pro stock racer in the first round. He ran a 7:38, just a hundredth of a second off the record. Glidden with the advantage off the starting line. Nicolas very late gets out close to the guardrail, shuts it down, and Glidden another 7:38 elapsed time. His speed over 186 miles an hour as he heads to the semifinals. That 7:38 elapsed time gives Glidden lane choice over Lee Dean, while our other semifinal pair of pro stock eliminator cars finds Bruce Allen against Tony Christian, and Allen having the lane choice. Monte Car semifinals coming up next at the Keystone National. We're at Maple Grove Raceway near Reading, Pennsylvania for the third annual Castrol GTX Keystone National. And we want to remind you about an upcoming event, the Winston Finals, October 29th through November 1st at the Los Angeles County Fairgrounds in Pomona, California. Make plans now to attend that outstanding event. On the starting line, we're set for the semifinals of Funny Car. John Force in the far lane, Johnny West in the near lane. If there is a surprise at this event, it has been the performance of Johnny West. He has run 5.50. For Force, a 5:57 best matches these two cars very, very evenly. Rolling into the infrared beam stretched across the starting line, the drivers position the cars exactly where they want them. The indicator lights on the Christmas trees tell starter Buster Couch they're ready. He throws the switch, it goes green, and Johnny West goes up into smoke, and John Force advances to the final. 5.50, 259 miles an hour. Marked improvement in the performance of John Force and the Oldsmobile. Kenny Bernstein has got his work cut out for him in this round. He is racing against Mark Oswald. Bernstein lost the lane choice in the previous round, but he did find the improvement in performance that he was looking for. For Oswald, he has been the dominant force in eliminations today. Steve?
John Force, what a wonderful number on the board, a 5:50.
Well, you saw it. I mean, that's the way it goes, and this ball game's definitely going our way this weekend. Bernstein's been plagued with problems. You know I'm sorry to see that. But that is drag racing. Coyle put this thing on. He says, go for lane choice. We're going to get it. Whether it's Bernstein or Oswald, we're going to be tough today.
Got a little oil, a little water in the windshield. Where'd that come from?
I had all kinds of stuff, and I'm looking out the window for him thinking, he ain't out there, but I'm thinking, if this thing lights up on me, I'm going to be hot. Really hot.
As Bernstein found out yesterday, those things happen.
As we've said before, a chat with John Force is truly an illuminating experience. Mark Oswald in the near lane, Kenny Bernstein in the far lane. There's that. Oh, it's a great start. And it's Mark Oswald by just a few feet. Mark Oswald into the finals against John Force, and Force won the lane choice. 5.52 seconds was Oswald's time. Bernstein just a hair behind at a 5:55. Look at the start. The advantage went by just a few thousandths of a second to Bernstein. You saw the lead at that point. Now at the finish line, you see how Oswald powered past and took the win.
Well, Mark Oswald and Kenny Bernstein show us why so many fans buy tickets to drag races. What a battle. A 5:52 for you, a 5:55 for him.
pit's always tight when we race, you know, and you got to give Kenny a lot of credit for even getting back in the car, you know. But I knew when he did, he was out here to win, you know, and he just proved it. It was just a hell of a drag race.
This is the second year in a row you go into the finals. Last year you won it.
Yeah, I'd just like to repeat on that. You know, we've had a little problem in the finals this year, just little stuff biting us, and, you know, we'd like to put the Motorcraft Thunderbird in the winner's circle.
Good luck to you. We'll see you then.
Thanks, Steve.
A relaxed Mark Oswald headed for the finals against John Force. Force has the lane choice, should that become important in the last round. Let's go to Steve with Kenny Bernstein.
Car owner Paul Candies being congratulated by Kenny Bernstein, and you don't see any long faces down here. It's been such a tough weekend just to go as far as you did. A miracle.
Well, it is. I mean, you know, yesterday in the swamp, like you said, there was no way I thought we'd be here, but my crew, again, I can't say enough for them. They just worked night and day, and all the friends that helped them. And it could have never happened without all our friends and our fans to help it, and the crew to do a job, Dale Armstrong and all the people.
You know, one more run probably you needed to sort this thing out.
Well, we're getting closer. Dale was stepping back up on it. You know, we had to back it way off after yesterday. That was a severe situation, so he was coming back the other way. But Mark and those guys are good racers, and I mean, the two red cars always have a heck of a battle in this today. The Budweiser Quaker State Buick just didn't get there first.
Joe Amato set for the semifinals of Top Fuel Eliminator, coming up next at the Castrol GTX Keystone National.
This is one of the most unusual schools.
At the Castrol GTX Keystone Nationals at Maple Grove Raceway near Reading, Pennsylvania, action in John Force pit area as they prepare his engine for the final round of racing against Mark Oswald. While on the starting line, it's the semifinals of Top Fuel Eliminator. Joe Amato in the DRW Special going off against Gary Ormsby. Ormsby in the far lane with superlative performances, but nothing to match Amato's 5:11 elapsed time. Both drivers intense into the staging procedures. Amato set. Here comes Ormsby. And Amato, red light. He left too soon. He just gave it away. Ormsby looks like he's got problems. He's just coasting at this point. But he gets to the finish line, the winner automatically by virtue of the red light disqualification for Amato. Let's watch. They're both staged. And well before the green light comes on, Joe Amato is gone from the starting line, leaving the big red light. Our next pair, Earl Whiting, doing his burnout to race against Dick LaHaye. With Amato out of competition, LaHaye has a shot at both the elapsed time and mile-an-hour record. You know this has to be a moment of agony for Joe Amato.
Well, this magic day in his home state has come to an end for Joe Amato with a red light. But, you know, rather than see you punish yourself emotionally, if it were not for your good driving, you wouldn't have won the U.S. Nationals. You've just been leaning on it pretty hard.
Well, we've been pushing the light, Steve. You know, that's the only way. The cars are running so close. You know, it's a driver's race up there, you know. And I pushed it a little too hard that time. I knew, you know, we ran a 19, Ormsby ran a 20. That puts a lot of pressure on the driver, I guess. But, you know, when he goes out and brakes, it doesn't make you feel any better about it. You know, he blow the blower belt off, so it would anything we did would have wouldn't be able to beat him. You know, that's why you'll think about this all winter. But thank God there's another race next week in Texas, and we'll get on for it.
Well, good job, and thanks for all the thrills, especially the record today of over 280.
Well, thank you. You know, the funny part of it, that LaHaye might be able to go over that, because he has a backup already in the book, so we're going to be watching close.
Funny, that's what he said, too.
Yeah, I know. So it's got us thinking.
The point struggle continues between Joe Amato in first place at the moment and the man in the nearer lane to the camera, Dick LaHaye, who is in second. Earl Whiting comes into the staging beam. LaHaye is set, and Whiting red light. Both races in the semifinals decided by a red light. LaHaye does not back out of it. He goes 5:19 at 270 miles an hour. Not good enough to back up either record, but he has one race remaining. That's the finals against Gary Ormsby, where Dick LaHaye has the choice of lanes. Meanwhile, back in the pit, it is work going on in the Mark Oswald camp for the Candies and Hughes car as they prepare that race vehicle for their final round match against John Ford. That's sure to be a good one. Let's go to Steve with Dick LaHaye.
Joe Amato is concerned that you could take his speed record away from him. He just told us that.
Yes, he ran 279.58 the round before, and we
would serve as a backup for a 280.
Yeah, we could run 281.08, I think it is, and that would touch the record. And plus, if we can run better than a 17.1, we can set the elapsed time record, so we could pick up actually 400 points on this thing right here.
Well, thanks, Dick. And you know, there's a fellow named Gary Ormsby that may have a lot to say about all of this before it's said and done.
That's very true.
The LaHaye family in quest of their 4th win this season. More racing action in a moment. No, this is not John Ford's nitro-burning bunny car. This is just part of the excitement from the Castrol GTX Keystone Nationals Community Expo on the Square in downtown Reading. Maple Grove President Mike Lewis emceed the affair, which featured side-by-side bed races for the adults. The entire Castrol GTX racing team was on hand, and there were pedal car prizes for the kids, pedal car races, and tens of thousands of dollars raised for the United Way and Muscular Dystrophy campaign. Today at Maple Grove Raceway, these fans have been treated to some amazing performances with more racing yet to come, like this, the semifinals of Pro Stock Eliminator. Bob Glidden has contributed to those astonishing times. Lee Dean, his competition. Pontiac versus Ford in the Factory Hot Rod Showdown. There's that. And Lee Dean red light. He leaves too soon. Glidden has got the automatic win, but he wants lane choice in the final. He goes a 7:37. He's just 0.03 of a second away from bettering his own elapsed time record. So it is Bob Glidden in the finals to meet one of these two cars. Will it be the Chevrolet Beretta, driven by Bruce Allen, or Tony Christian at the wheel of the Volante and Earl Pontiac Firebird? Let's go to Steve at the far end of the track.
Bob Glidden came out of the car and he says, well, that must have been it, Steve. Not quite. 7:37 with a 9. Just missed.
If we can get by one more round, maybe we can go 1/100ths quicker. If I saw Lee red light and felt like it was on a good run, it might have moved around a little bit.
Wasn't a bad run.
Well, but we still need to set the record.
Bruce Allen in the far lane has the choice of lanes. He switched from where Bob Glidden was, who had the choice. Allen going in the far lane. So obviously, these drivers considering both lanes equal. A great start for Tony Christian and Bruce Allen right side by side. Allen has problems. And for the first time in his career, Tony Christian goes into a Pro Stock final round. 7.61 seconds. That elapsed time not good enough to give him the choice of lane. Bob Glidden has that for the finals in Pro Stock Eliminator. There's lots of action back in the pit area. Dick LaHaye's car. He is one of those people that pulls double duty. Not only does he drive the race car, he also works on this vehicle between rounds. The finals coming up in just a moment. I'm Dave McClelland along with Steve Evans at the Castrol GTX Keystone Nationals at Maple Grove Raceway near Reading, Pennsylvania. And only 3 races remain. In Pro Stock Eliminator, it will be Tony Christian going off against Bob Glidden. Glidden drives that Ford Thunderbird that has been the dominant force in competition all year long. Tony Christian in his first ever final. Steve had a chance to talk to Tony after his semifinal win.
Every drag racer that hasn't accomplished it has 2 dreams. One is to make his first NHRA Pro Final, and the other is to win it. Tony Christian, this is your first. What about the second part of that?
Well, I don't know. If it were anybody but that Ford, I'd say I got a real good chance, but I'm going to sure try.
You know, I asked Bob Glidden what he knew about you, and he said you're very good on the starting line. He said he likes to play some games once in a while, but my kids will get on him if he does that. What does that mean?
Well, let him come up and play games, because I got a little game for him this time.
What does he mean by the kids get involved, his kids?
His kids and I are always goofing around, Rusty and Billy. They're 2 nice kids.
So the teams are acquainted?
Oh, yeah, real good. I know them real well.
You know, you almost lost control of that car the last round.
Yeah, I know. I looked over and I saw him out of shape, and I was ahead of him, so I just stood back in it, and I went around him. I hate to beat Bruce like that. You know, I'd rather beat him fair and square, but what are you going to do?
Good luck in your first ever final.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Tony Christian.
Tony Christian at the wheel of the Pontiac in the far lane. Bob Glidden in the near lane. If it's based only on performance, Glidden has got the advantage. If it is based on confidence, Tony Christian's got his fair share of that. No staging battle here. A good start for both drivers. The race, but he misses the elapsed time record now by 0.02 of a second. In replay, you can watch Bob Glidden as he gains the advantage off the starting line over Tony Christian. Glidden was not about ready to give up that lead, and as they crossed the finish line, Glidden had his 57th national event victory by more than one car length.
Well, the winningest driver in all of drag racing, regardless of category, has scored another notch. Bob Glidden, you won it. And I know your question. No, you missed the record by 1,000 to 2. At 7:37 with an 8.
Well, at least we won the race. That was the most important part of this deal.
Tony Christian, first time ever in a final round. A great job.
Good job.
Good race.
That's right, David against Goliath racing this guy.
Hey, he didn't take it easy on you.
No, he didn't. I knew what Tony was going to do. He fibbed to me a little bit about the starting line procedures, but he was on time, and I think we made a really nice run. He probably had some problems in the left lane.
On the starting line, John Ford's taking a unique way of wishing happy anniversary to his wife, Lori. This is their 6th anniversary. He had hoped to be home to celebrate it, but instead, he is in the finals of the Keystone Nationals against Mark Oswald, driving the Candies and Hughes Thunderbird. This is the 5th final round appearance for John Ford. He was the winner at the Grand National in Montreal, Canada. For Mark Oswald, he's been in the finals once this season, finishing runner-up to Kenny Bernstein at the Summer Nationals. Force had the choice of lanes. He picked the lane furthest from the camera, where he ran at 5.50 in the semifinals. Force laps the stage, and Force instantly up in smoke. Oswald saving the best for last, 5.49 seconds. His speed over 265 miles an hour for the 2nd year in a row. Mark Oswald takes home the funny car title at the Keystone Nationals. Let's watch how it happens. Right off the starting line, John Ford instantly goes up in smoke. Those tires spinning, burning rubber, losing traction, and Oswald, foot to the floor, goes to the finish line with a 5.49 second elapsed time and the victory.
A few weeks ago, this man, Mark Oswald, wrote a column in National Dragster, the sports Bible newspaper, and as much as he said, I've got the best car, the best team, why can't I win a drag race? The answer is you can.
Yeah, we can now. We proved it. I mean, we've struggled this year, Steve. Every little thing that could go wrong did. I'm just happy for Motorcraft and Ford and Paul and Leonard and everybody on the crew worked so hard, you know. Feel sorry for John to have another runner-up, but I didn't want to give it to him.
A 5.49. That's the way to exit.
Yeah, we had a feeling we could step it up just a little bit.
Good job. Paul Candies, the car runner. Wonderful job. 2 years in a row you've won this race.
Another ticket a second would have had us a record here, huh?
That's right. Very, very close. A happy team.
Good show. My guys did a good job for me.
One race remains at the Keystone Nationals. It is the Top Fuel Final. Gary Ormsby placidly sitting by as the crew member hooks up the electric starter. We'll be back with that final in just a moment. The final race at the Castrol GTX Keystone Nationals is on the line. Gary Ormsby against Dick LaHaye, Top Fuel Eliminator. Two very similar race cars, each powered by a nitro-burning engine that produces well over 2,500 horsepower. While the normal work between rounds is extensive, there was an unusual problem on Gary Ormsby's car. Steve was there as the work was performed.
Dave, they are changing the rear end of the differential in the Gary Ormsby Top Fuel Dragster. Now, you remember the blower belt came off after Joe Amato red lighted? Well, it wasn't simply a blower belt failure. The rear end pinion broke. They've had that same one in for about 6 months now, and that caused the blower belt to come off when the engine suddenly came up dramatically in RPM. Now, as they look at the motor, they're hoping they don't find any signs of it freewheeling, any bad bearings, particularly main bearings that could cause an engine change. But so far, it looks like driver, car owner Gary Ormsby did a terrific job of catching that broken rear end before the needle wrapped completely around the tachometer.
Headed by Lee Beard, the crew for Gary Ormsby obviously got everything back together. The car looks and sounds fine. But Dick LaHaye has got the performance advantage. LaHaye with a 5.12 second elapsed time to his credit, a speed over 279 miles an hour, wants to make a quantum leap forward by taking both ends of the national record. LaHaye, with a choice of lanes, has put Ormsby in the lane furthest from the camera. And you know, Gary has got to be thinking about his teammate, John Force, who instantly went up in smoke as soon as he touched the throttle in the funny car final. LaHaye sat and waiting as Gary Ormsby approaches the staging beam. They're both pre-staged. Ormsby gently rolling forward. Here comes LaHaye. And a great start. And it's Dick LaHaye at a 5:14. He backs up the record of a 5:12, 280 miles an hour. Not quite enough to break the speed record of Joe Amato, but Dick LaHaye wins his 4th title of the year, sets a new elapsed time record in the process, and becomes the 2nd driver in history to record a speed over 280 miles an hour in a standing start quarter mile. There's the margin of difference. 1 car length for Dick LaHaye.
Kim LaHaye told me off camera just before the final run, Steve, we're going for it all, and you almost got it. You've won it for the 2nd year in a row. You got the ET record at a 5:14.
Oh, I'll tell you what, Steve. I can't thank the Lord enough. I mean, there's been so many prayers going on over there in that camp today that it's unreal, because we've been kind of lost coming in these races, because we kept smoking the tires and so forth, and we finally got it figured out, I guess, and I'm just thrilled to know, and I'll bet Kim is just ecstatic right now.
He's wearing the horn out on that old truck. You became only the 2nd driver to ever top 280, but you missed the record by just a little bit.
Well, hey, you know, I mean, what else could we do to top the day off? I mean, Joe's the fastest car out there, and I've got a lot of respect for him and Tim Richards, and I mean, this has just been one heck of a season. It's going to continue to be that way, too.
You needed that record to offset the one he set.
That's right. Now we're even, but I went 2 rounds more than he did in one race, so I picked some points up on him. And
tightens it out, doesn't it?
Oh, boy, I'll tell you what. Going into Texas, this is going to be fun.
Dick LaHaye, for the 2nd year in a row, he has won the Castrol GTX Keystone Nationals. What a job he's done. What a job this whole crew has done.
Be sure to be watching in November for the NHRA Winston Finals from Pomona, California, coming up right here on ESPN. For Steve Evans, I'm Dave McClellan saying so long from Maple Grove Raceway. The 1987 NHRA Castrol GTX Keystone Nationals have been brought to you by Bram Bendix Autolite, all quality products of Allied Automotive, and by Goodyear, the Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company. No matter how far you go, Goodyear takes you home. And by Quaker State Motor Oil. New Quaker State with QSX. Keep your engine cleaner to last longer.